Thank you for spending your time with us. I guess I was going to ask if you had any sort of last minute stories you wanted to tell us. I will share that there has already been a story told on this show that included you. Brad Maddox told the story of you and him joining Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson at a baseball game where Alex had you and Brad and Geddy sign a woman's something for autographs as he had convinced her that you and Brad were some versions of Neil and Alex. So that was you, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, it sounds like it. That sounds just like us. Yes.
Because you did sound for Rush before Brad took over as front of house for them. You moved from Rush to Tom Petty when Rush sort of took many years off.
I mean, it was, I mean, Brad was on the tours that I was mixing.
Right.
So, yeah, he was working as one of the PA guys on the tour. And a lot of times he was mixing opening acts. Like he mixed Mr. Big out there when they were opening.
That's what he said, yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, and then we went through Rush's dark period there where they were gone for a period of years. And, by the time that came back around, I mean, it honestly, Rush was the gold ring for me. I mean, that was the brass ring tour for me. I had wanted to do that all of my career. So to have to give that up was really, really painful. I still got scars from that,
I wondered why. It was just the timing of it because they took 5 years off and no one knew if or when they would come back. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, and, I think if you were talking to Geddy or Alex, I think they would cop to this idea of, okay, you've got to look out for your family and everything else first. That's got to be the first thing. I mean, Geddy would come at it from the angle of baseball. It's like where you draft somebody and the Yankees come in and offer them a lot of money to take them away. They have to look out for their family and their own interest there.
Absolutely.
I got put in that position.
Yes, of course.
It's one of the, I'm not too ashamed to say it. It's one of the first times I took the money.
Interesting.
It was just like,
I'm
sorry. I said it to Geddy and Alex. I said, front of house guys, just don't get offered this kind of money, guys. I can't turn this down. I just can't.
And that was to go out with Tom Petty, right?
It was to continue with Tom Petty. Yeah.
To continue with. I got you.
Yeah, I had already been with Petty for 4 or 5 years at that point, maybe even longer.
Yeah.
And, I mean, as silly as this sounds now in hindsight, you kind of play in the odds a little bit. It's like, well, okay, Rush has been out of it 5-6 years now. We don't know what's going to happen when they come back here. I can't, do I really, as much as I emotionally, my heart said, take the Rush gig. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
The practical side of me just said, I can't turn this down over here. It's going to change the trajectory of my personal life and everything here. I can't turn that down. So luckily we've remained cordial, but like I said, it was heartbreaking. It was absolutely heartbreaking to turn that down.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I think Brad Maddox's first gig as day one as front of house was their first gig back on the Vapor Trails tour.
That would have been right.
He and I, the first time we met, we sort of shared a moment about it because that happened in Hartford, Connecticut, right near where I was living at the time. So I was at that show, and it was an emotional moment for everyone in the room when they took that stage.
Oh my gosh.
You could see it on their faces on stage. Obviously, everybody in the crowd felt it, and Brad's like, "Oh yeah, we felt it at the front of house console too."
Well,
I mean, of course.
Just use this as an aside of that. I've told this story a few times. When I was out with Rush, I think this was Test for Echo, maybe one tour previous. I can't remember.
Okay.
But I was trying to develop virtual sound check at that point. So, I was recording every night on ADAT out there.
Right.
And nobody was giving that any thought. Management wasn't giving that any thought. It was like, okay, yeah, we'll have these ADATs at the end of whatever you recorded. I don't know. Yes, that'll be great to throw in the archive. Right.
Yeah.
So over the course, technically the recording of it, I would call a failure. I mean, we probably made 60 attempts at a 72 track record of that tour and maybe got 20 complete shows.
Okay.
Just because of the mechanics of the ADAT.
Yeah.
But
the gear wasn't
at the
there.
time, didn't think anything about it. Yeah, here's all the tapes, throw them in the vault, etc. Well, then everything happens with Neil. And now all of a sudden we're looking at those ADAT tapes thinking, those might be the very last Rush recordings ever.
Right.
So now there was a new emphasis on, digging those out and trying to mix them, so
Whoa.
yeah, it was
Right.
no,
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So I can imagine now, fast forward that up to the first Vapor Trail show, you can only imagine the emotion that would have been at that show. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I'm glad that it just serendipitously I got to be there, just as a fan, obviously.
Oh,
but,
I was thrilled to see it reemerge. I just thought,
Oh.
okay, thank goodness this is going to come back,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep. Very cool.